What's going on, guys? Welcome back to WWE Network and Chill, where every single week I, Graham G.S. and Matthews, break down all the content I watch on the WWE Network. Today we're talking Table for Three, the Club Extreme episode that aired last week after Raw, featuring Jeff Hardy, Finn Balor, and Matt Hardy. I had no idea this episode was coming until it was advertised by WWE themselves about a week ago, last weekend, because usually they show like previews of other episodes to come, like the last few episodes, the one with The Shield, the one with Sting, Ric Flair, and Steamboat, that's been in the can for a while. I had no idea they taped one with the Hardy Boys and Finn Balor, and I figured Matt Hardy would have tweeted about it when it happened, but I guess not. It was a really cool episode. I mean, these three have teamed up on TV before in recent months on Raw and over this summer and whatnot. So it was really cool to kind of see them sit down and talk about their last year in WWE and their upbringing and stuff like that. So we kick off the episode with Balor saying it's an honor to share the table with two legends. He admits that he was in the crowd for the WrestleMania return, and of course Balor returned to Raw the next night from injury, which he talks about a bit later on. And obviously Balor admits to being heavily influenced by a young Hardy Boys tag team, and that's where his in-ring style kind of came from, which you could see if you watch the Finn Balor documentary, the WWE 24 special, which I talked about here on the channel on WWE Network and Chill many months ago. Cheap plug, check it out if you haven't already. So Balor talks about having his own independent backyard wrestling league, which I feel like every aspiring young pro wrestler has had. Balor had EWI, the Hardys had TWF. Balor's was EWI, it was Extreme Wrestling in Ireland, which isn't a bad name, and the Hardy Boys had, like I said, TWF, which was Teenagers Wrestling Federation, I believe. So they had their own respective backyard wrestling federations growing up. Matt discusses the in-ring style of Jeff and himself and kind of where it came from. They discuss ripping off Razor Ramon and Shawn Michaels, their respective styles, and watching their matches, and even calling a move the RST or something like that, the Razor Shawn thing, which I guess was one of their moves that they had ripped off from a match of theirs over the Intercontinental Championship many, many years ago. Finn Balor talks about training to become a pro wrestler. Matt Hardy shares some stories. He does most of the talking for Jeff and himself in this episode. Jeff says a few things as well, but Matt usually kind of takes center stage when talking about the training of the Hardy Boys and their upbringing in the business and whatnot. So like I said, Matt shares some stories about their developmental days with Dory Funk and Christian, and some funny stuff there. They all talk about having alter egos. Jeff with the Willow thing that he did in TNA. I mean, he's done that elsewhere. He's never done it in WWE, so it was interesting to hear Matt bring that up because he's never done that gimmick before in WWE. Balor obviously has the demon, and Matt talks about having his broken side, which has been teased before. This is not the first time it's been brought up on WWE TV, and I would assume, based off how Matt talks about it here, that this was well before they even entertained the idea of doing a broken gimmick with Matt. I mean, obviously Jeff is still around, and currently he's not on the road, so this must have been filmed around SummerSlam time. It must have been, because the other ones were taped around SummerSlam time as well, so this must have been in the can for a few months at the very least. But Finn Balor talks about the transformation from Finn Balor to the Demon, what kind of went into it, and he said that it helps me channel a certain side of my personality that isn't always available to me, which people give the Balor, persona a lot of crap just because it's not all that different in the ring from Finn Balor really at all. And I wish we would get some more insight, more development of that demon persona. But still, it is cool aesthetically, of course, and Balor feels like it really helps him become a different person. He also admitted that the pain affected how he walks to the ring, like subconsciously. He had no idea that was kind of the case, so it really affected his persona inside and out when walking to the ring, in the ring itself, although it's not that drastic of a difference. Jeff talks about his own face paint, which we have not seen on WWE TV since he returned to WWE earlier this year. Of course, they've been doing the Hardy Boys thing, so there's really no need for the paint right now, especially when Balor does it on special occasions. But he does talk about the face paint and not having a care in the world, and when he does that, when he used to do it back in the day, and I'm not just talking about like 08, 09, because he used to do the face paint back in like 02, 03, when he was on his own as well. He says the inspiration behind that is to inspire people to not care and to do what they want, to not give a shit what other people think, which I greatly admire from Jeff Hardy. So again, Matt talks about becoming the person that when he's broken, he completely divulges himself in that character, and he misses doing that. So again, I feel like this is something that was taped many months ago, at least around SummerSlam time, because Jeff went down with the injury. He had to go have surgery and take time off in like early September. So this had to have been around August, but Matt says he misses doing that, and now he's obviously back to being broken or woken, whatever you want to call it, on WWE TV now. So I guess the timing of this could not have been any better. The Hardys talk about being happy with the reaction they received at WrestleMania. No one really knew for sure that they would be there, and they talked about that. Matt even admits that there were some rumblings that they would have re-signed or would be back at WrestleMania or WrestleMania week, but no one knew for sure that they would return, which is why that reaction was so monstrous. I mean, I was there. I was there with Jason at WrestleMania 33. Easily the greatest moment I've ever witnessed live. And I've witnessed a lot of great moments in the last 10 years as a fan in person at certain events. This leads the list. The Hardy Boys' return was the coolest thing I've ever seen in person at a wrestling show. So they talk about that reaction. They didn't know if people would remember them, and obviously they did, because the reaction they received at WrestleMania was fucking unreal. They talk about how it's hard to keep a secret nowadays with the dirt sheets and whatnot, and they were able to maintain that with their WrestleMania return earlier this year. Balor talks about liking his Raw return the next night and the big pop that he got there, and obviously people knew that he was gonna be there, and people were expecting it, but it was still a big moment in front of a great crowd, a lively crowd. And now the Monday after WrestleMania, the Raw after WrestleMania, is usually a special occasion, even just as much as WrestleMania is every single year. Matt talks about WWE being different now compared to when they were initially in the company, or the last time they were in the company about 10 years ago, saying that WWE is more of a monster now than ever before with the social media stuff and everything else they do behind the scenes, and that the company is more professional and has more of a company vibe to it than it did previously. They're much more professional than they were many years ago. Finn says everyone was very welcoming in WWE when he first got called up to the main roster. He wasn't sure how certain people would be. But Big Show, he said, was really cool. Randy Orton, he said, was really cool. And the Hardy Boys say the Hardy Boys admit that it was the opposite for them when they initially arrived in WWE. They were the victim of hazing and not really bullying, according to the stories they told, but they had their bags taken by JBL and a few others, I think, when they first showed up in WWE. So obviously a very different environment today compared to 20, 25 years ago. They all talk about their respective goals, what else they want to accomplish in the remainder of their WWE tenures. Jeff says that he wants a Hell in a Cell match. Initially, he said a Hell in a Cell match with The Undertaker many years ago, and he's always said Hell in a Cell. And I think win at WrestleMania, too, which he did finally this year. But yeah, Jeff Hardy's never been inside a Hell in a Cell match. Neither has Matt Hardy, for that matter, either. Maybe at some point down the road. But yeah, at one point he did say that he wanted a Hell in a Cell match at WrestleMania with Undertaker. Taker probably retired, and he has one at WrestleMania, so now he just wants Hell in a Cell. And he also wants an Ultimate Rotation match, as he called it, which I had no idea existed. But apparently it's a match stipulation where I guess they had it in WCW. They showed footage of it here, where the ring literally rotates while the match is going on. So Jeff wants one of those matches. Maybe it's for the better that we have not had one in WWE, because it sounds like a fucking train wreck. So hopefully we don't have that in WWE. But Jeff wants to have one of those before he retires. Balor says that he wants to create something new and maybe another alter ego, which would be really cool. And people say that maybe he should focus on the one that he has now and develop that more, like I said earlier with the Demon. But still, another alter ego for Finn Balor would be pretty cool. And Matt says he just wants to be innovative. He's past the point in his career where he wants to win that title and that title. He just wants to be creative and be innovative. And maybe do something similar to the Broken stuff, which obviously he's doing now, and he's getting, presumably and reportedly, a lot of creative freedom with that character, the Woken character now in WWE. So it's cool to see him kind of tap into that now on Raw and be as creative as we all know he can be. So to close out the episode, Matt says that he's a fan of Finn Balor. They've enjoyed teaming with him on recent Raws in the last number of months. And Jeff also teases an Enigma versus Demon match at some point down the road. Now, I don't know what purpose it was supposed to serve, but I know many, many months ago, when these three first teamed up for the first time, Michael Cole had brought up the possibility of a Jeff and Demon match, or a Jeff and Finn Balor match, and how cool it would be, like a dream match of sorts. But he had also noted that, like, Finn Balor, or Jeff Hardy's daughter, rather, was a big fan of Finn Balor. And I thought that would play into a storyline down the road, but it went nowhere, and Jeff Hardy got hurt, so it obviously led to nothing. But that would be cool at some point down the road if we got a Jeff Hardy all painted up versus a Demon Balor all painted up at some point down the road when Jeff is obviously healthy and clear to compete. So that is the Club Extreme episode of Table for Three. Very enjoyable edition with three of my favorites, the Hardy Boys and Finn Balor. So definitely check it out on the WWE Network on the on-demand section, under Table for Three, under the original section on the network. Next week, I have no idea what I'll be talking about, really whatever airs after Raw this week on the network, I'll talk about here on WWE Network and Chill. If nothing, then we'll just stick to Total Divas, or I'll watch something else on the network and review it for WWE Network and Chill as the end of the year draws near. So speaking of which, the next installment of the show of WWE Network and Chill will go up tomorrow here on the channel, covering Season 7, Episode 7 of the Total Divas show, airing on the E! Network. So check that out tomorrow. Be sure to subscribe to the channel to make sure to get all the videos as soon as they go up, all the daily content. Like this video, share the video, drop a comment. All that stuff is amazingly appreciated. So all that being said, guys, I'm Graham G.S. Matthews. I believe as this is going up, it is Christmas Eve, so have an awesome, awesome Christmas Eve. Have a very happy holiday. Otherwise, I'm Graham G.S. Matthews, and I'll catch your ass down the road.